Imagine a morning where the sky doesn't brighten, where the warmth you feel on your skin suddenly vanishes. A world without the sun. It's a thought that feels impossible, yet it sparks a deep, almost primal curiosity within us. What would happen to our planet, to life itself, and to the very fabric of reality as we know it if the sun were to vanish in an instant? The consequences reach far beyond the simple absence of daylight. They touch the fundamental laws that govern our universe, our psychology, and the fragile balance of life on Earth. To understand what would unfold, we must first grasp what the sun truly is. The sun is not just a giant ball of fire in the sky, it is a nuclear furnace, a massive sphere of plasma where hydrogen atoms fuse into helium, releasing energy in the form of light and heat. This energy has traveled across space for 8 minutes and 20 seconds before reaching us, sustaining every plant, every animal, every human being. Its gravitational pull keeps the Earth in orbit, orchestrating the dance of the planets, moons, and countless celestial bodies. The sun is, in many ways, the invisible hand that holds our solar system together. Now let us imagine the immediate aftermath of its disappearance. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, life on Earth would continue unaware. Light and heat that had already left the sun would still reach us, leaving the sky bright and seemingly normal. But after that brief delay, darkness would fall. Not the gentle dusk we are accustomed to, but a sudden, absolute night, as if someone had flipped a cosmic switch. Temperatures would start to drop rapidly, a chilling reminder of the sun's absence. Within days, surface temperatures would plummet, plants would begin to die, and the balance of the atmosphere would destabilize. Within a year, Earth's oceans could freeze over, a solid shell forming on top, while the deeper layers remain liquid for a time. The disappearance of the sun would also unravel the invisible threads of gravity that tether Earth and the planets. Without the sun's gravitational pull, Earth would no longer orbit along a predictable path. Instead, it would travel in a straight line into the darkness of space. The psychological impact of this is staggering to contemplate. Humans are creatures of pattern and rhythm. The cycles of day and night, the seasons, the rising and setting of the sun, all of these anchor our perception of time and stability. A sudden, irreversible removal of this cosmic rhythm would induce a deep, collective disorientation. Anxiety, despair, and existential fear would surge as the world literally spins into chaos. Beyond the physical and emotional implications, the disappearance of the sun would expose some profound truths about human dependence on invisible systems. We rarely consider how much of our survival is contingent on this massive, fiery sphere 93 million miles away. Yet every breath we take, every drop of water, every source of energy is indirectly linked to the sun's life-giving force. Without it, the biological rhythms we take for granted, the circadian cycle, photosynthesis, even the seasonal migrations of animals, would unravel. Hunger, cold, and scarcity would become immediate psychological stressors, magnifying the fragility of human society. Interestingly, imagining such a catastrophic scenario also offers insight into how humans cope with uncertainty and loss. Studies in psychology show that when faced with uncontrollable events, our minds oscillate between denial, anxiety, and an urgent search for meaning. The sudden absence of the sun is the ultimate uncontrollable event, a cosmic anomaly beyond human intervention. It forces us to confront our existential limitations. Yet even in such thought experiments, there is value. They highlight our resilience, our ability to adapt, and the deep psychological mechanisms that kick in when facing unprecedented threats. Humans are uniquely capable of simulation. We can project ourselves into futures that never happen, and this ability shapes our planning, survival strategies, and philosophical reflection. There is also a fascinating interplay between fear and curiosity in this scenario. The thought of the sun disappearing is terrifying, yet it captivates us. Our minds are drawn to extremes, to events so dramatic they break the rules of ordinary experience. This is why apocalyptic stories, disaster films, and cosmic what-ifs resonate so powerfully. They allow us to explore the edges of possibility, to experience fear safely, and to reflect on our place in a vast, indifferent universe. In practical terms, while the complete disappearance of the sun is physically impossible according to current scientific understanding, the exercise of imagining it sheds light on real phenomena. Solar eclipses, volcanic winters, nuclear winter scenarios, and asteroid impacts are all situations where sunlight can be reduced or blocked. By studying these events, scientists understand the delicate balance of energy, gravity, and life. Psychologically, preparing for worst-case scenarios strengthens coping strategies, resilience, and problem-solving, even if the event itself remains improbable. It's also important to challenge common misconceptions. Some may think that the sun disappearing instantly would cause an immediate vacuum or destroy Earth by explosion. In reality, it's the absence of gravity that would redirect Earth into space and the absence of heat that would gradually freeze the planet. The physical universe responds in precise, measurable ways. It is not a theatrical drama, yet the consequences remain unimaginably severe. From a human perspective, the story of a sunless Earth is also a story about dependence and perspective. It reminds us that our lives are intertwined with forces far beyond our control, yet we navigate them with creativity and resilience. The sun, a seemingly constant presence, becomes a symbol of stability, of life, and of the intricate systems that sustain our world. Losing it forces us to confront both our vulnerability and our capacity to imagine solutions, to empathize with other creatures, and to appreciate the fragility of life. In reflecting on this thought experiment, we can extract practical insights. We learn to value systems we take for granted, the environment, energy sources, ecosystems, and to recognize our role in protecting them. We see the importance of community, preparation, and adaptability. We understand that while cosmic events are beyond our control, our response to uncertainty defines our experience and shapes our resilience. Ultimately, imagining a world without the sun is a meditation on perspective, mortality, and the intricate web of life. It confronts us with fear, yet it also illuminates curiosity and wonder. It demonstrates that even when faced with total absence, the human mind seeks understanding, meaning, and adaptation. The sun, in its brilliance, becomes more than a star. It is a mirror reflecting the delicate, complex, and resilient nature of life itself. As we return our thoughts from this hypothetical darkness, the sun's warmth and light take on a renewed significance. Its daily rise is no longer routine, but a profound gift. The comfort of its light, the rhythm it provides, and the life it sustains are reminders of the intricate balance that governs our existence. The sun may never disappear, and yet contemplating its absence teaches us to value its presence deeply, to respect the delicate systems that sustain us, and to marvel at the extraordinary cosmos we call home. In the end, a world without the sun is a world stripped to its essentials, light, heat, gravity, and life itself. It is a vision of fragility, an illustration of interconnection, and a meditation on the human mind's power to imagine, adapt, and endure. The sun's disappearance is a catastrophe in imagination, yet it becomes a lesson in gratitude, resilience, and perspective in reality. And as we continue to live under its golden rays, we carry within us the awareness that life, warmth, and order are gifts that can vanish in an instant, but the capacity to reflect, adapt, and endure is ours to cultivate, even in the darkest of thought experiments. As the darkness stretches on, something deeper than cold begins to settle over the planet. It's not just the freezing air or the collapsing ecosystems, it's the psychological weight of permanence. Humans can endure hardship when there is hope of reversal. Winter ends, night turns into morning, but a sunless Earth offers no such promise. The darkness would not be a phase, it would be forever, and that realization alone would reshape the human mind in profound ways. At first, people would cling to artificial light, to generators, to underground shelters. Cities would glow like isolated islands in an ocean of blackness. But slowly, energy sources would fail. Fossil fuels would run out. Solar power would be useless. Even nuclear power plants, without maintenance and cooling systems, would eventually shut down. With each system that collapses, the illusion of control would weaken. Psychology tells us that when perceived control disappears, anxiety transforms into despair. Not panic, but a quiet, heavy hopelessness. Social behavior would also change. In the early stages, cooperation would likely increase. Humans are social survivors. When faced with external threats, we tend to form groups, share resources, and protect one another. But as scarcity deepens, those bonds would fracture. History shows this pattern clearly. In prolonged crises, empathy competes with survival instinct, trust shrinks, fear sharpens, moral boundaries blur. The disappearance of the sun wouldn't just freeze the planet, it would test the ethical core of humanity. Children born into this darkness would never know sunlight. Their psychology would be shaped by a world without horizons, without blue skies, without warmth on the skin. Circadian rhythms, which are deeply tied to sunlight, would be permanently disrupted. Sleep cycles would become unstable. Depression rates would soar. The sun plays a silent role in regulating serotonin and melatonin, chemicals that influence mood, motivation, and emotional balance. Without it, the human brain would struggle to maintain psychological equilibrium. Plants, the foundation of the food chain, would already be gone. Animals would follow. Humans would survive briefly on stored food, then on synthetic substitutes if technology allowed. But food is not just fuel. It's culture, comfort, memory. The loss of agriculture would sever humanity from thousands of years of tradition. No seasons, no harvests, no natural renewal, time itself would feel meaningless. Days would blur into one endless night. This is where a crucial psychological shift would occur. When the future disappears, the mind retreats into the present. Long-term goals vanish, dreams shrink. Life becomes about enduring the next hour, the next day. This is known as temporal collapse, the inability to imagine a future worth striving toward. It is one of the most devastating effects of prolonged trauma. And in a sunless world, trauma would not be episodic, it would be constant. Yet even here, something remarkable about humans emerges: meaning-making. When reality becomes unbearable, humans invent meaning to survive it. Religion, philosophy, stories, rituals, all would intensify. The sun might be gone, but it would become mythologized, remembered, worshipped in memory. Stories of warmth would be told and retold, not just as nostalgia, but as psychological survival tools. Hope does not require realism, it requires imagination. There is a common misunderstanding that in such a scenario, humanity would instantly give up. Psychology suggests the opposite. Humans endure far longer than logic predicts. Prisoners in extreme isolation, survivors of polar expeditions, victims of long-term disasters, all demonstrate the same truth. The human mind resists extinction through adaptation. Emotional numbness would replace constant fear. Routine would replace chaos. Even in darkness, the brain seeks patterns. Cause and effect would unfold slowly but inevitably. No sun means no photosynthesis. No photosynthesis means no oxygen renewal. Over thousands of years, even the atmosphere would thin. The planet would become silent, frozen, drifting endlessly through space. Earth would no longer be a living world, but a cosmic relic, a memory. And yet, from a psychological perspective, this thought experiment is not about the end of life. It's about awareness. Imagining the sun's disappearance exposes how deeply interconnected everything is. It reminds us that stability is not guaranteed, it is borrowed. The human mind evolved under a yellow star, and every emotion, thought, and behavior carries that legacy. One myth worth addressing is the belief that such thoughts are unhealthy or pessimistic. In reality, controlled exposure to existential ideas can increase gratitude and mental resilience. When people reflect on impermanence, they often value their present lives more deeply. The sun feels warmer, time feels richer, relationships feel more urgent and meaningful. The practical takeaway is subtle but powerful. We live as if constants are permanent, but psychological well-being improves when we recognize fragility, not with fear, but with respect. The sun teaches us consistency. Its imagined absence teaches us appreciation. As this journey through darkness comes to an end, the most important realization remains. The sun is not just a source of light. It is a psychological anchor, a silent regulator of life, mood, time, and meaning. Its disappearance in imagination reveals how much of who we are is shaped by forces we rarely acknowledge. And so, when the sun rises tomorrow, it will do more than illuminate the sky. It will reaffirm existence itself. A reminder that life persists not because it is permanent, but because it is fragile and therefore precious. The sun does not need to disappear for us to understand its value. Sometimes, imagining the darkness is enough to truly see the light.